Tuned in to Guardian Radio, your source for Destiny news, tips, and chatter. Sit back, relax, and embrace your destiny.
Welcome everyone to Guardian Radio, the first and longest running Destiny podcast on the net. I am your host, Mark Turcotte, and joining me this week, first up, from inside his closet, my morning fire team brother, K-Dub. K-Dub, what's up, dude?
What's up, everybody? I am officially a year older.
That's right.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday. My birthday was yesterday. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good thing.
I had a blast playing Pokemon Go all day with my college student daughter, Erica, and we probably put 500 miles on my truck yesterday, driving around, doing raids, and just having a blast driving around. And it was a really good time. So I've had fun doing that. And the Olympics, I'm a curling maven, dude. I love curling.
Who's the new America guy? He has like the trucker hat on with a mustache.
Matt. His name is Matt. They call Mario Matt, right? And he's got the hat on. And they beat the Canadians today, dude, in a round robin to keep their dreams alive of maybe winning the gold. So it was a huge thing. They were like crying and stuff. It's a lot of it. Just man, there's been so much amazing emotion. And the thing that I love about the Olympics is this isn't like an annual thing. This is like you work your life for one opportunity for every 4 years. And some of these people that get to go 2 or 3 times is ridiculous. Most people get to go once. And it's just so dramatic and so much pressure. I can't even imagine. I mean, I played professional sports and I cannot even imagine the pressure and the emotion that these athletes are under. It's amazing and I love it. And it's so much fun. So go USA.
I love the guy. Would you say his name was Matt?
Matt, yeah.
You see the picture of him? It was like one of the first few days, and usually the Olympic athletes,
they have the Mario thing.
Yeah. He's out there with a beer. Like usually Olympic athlete. This guy's like a little bit overweight. He's got a beard. It's like that's an Olympic athlete, man. That's our U.S. representative.
They had a side by side of him and Mario. And Mario was the curler, and actually they took him and they put a Mario head on him because he has the mustache and the hat.
Yeah.
It was so funny. So they were calling him Mario. But I wanted to say too real quick. So he's from Wisconsin, and he tweeted Aaron Rodgers and said, "Hey, what about some Aaron Rodgers love?" And Aaron Rodgers all back at him and said, "And I love the stash, bro," because Aaron Rodgers does the stash some. It was really really cool.
Awesome.
But congrats to them. They beat the Canadians today.
Sweet.
Let's see where. So that's it.
And finally, of course, that other voice you heard there, our King of Queens, Mr. Mesa Sean. Sean, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm recovering from a back injury I had last week. I think it's part of the reason why we didn't have a show last week was I woke up with I just slept wrong on my back, and then I had a Muay Thai session. K-Dub likes to call it Mai Tai, or it's like a food or something to him. But no, and then after I had my training session with my coach, who's a fighter, man, I literally felt like someone set my back on fire for like 4 or 5 days straight. But my lovely girlfriend, who also trains in Muay Thai, she showed me these amazing stretches that I've just been doing all week long and just getting things back in order, using icy hot and stretching every day. And now I'm feeling so much better. So I couldn't even really sit down to play Destiny, like for that much, because it just like, it hurt when I was laying down. No, it hurt when I was sitting down and it hurt when I was standing up. So the only thing I could really do is kind of like lay down and watch TV and stuff, But tomorrow night I will be streaming on my YouTube channel and doing a Scuff giveaway, a Scuff controller of your choice. I'll be streaming the Prestige raids with WTF Game Nation over on Twitch. We'll kind of be doing like a dual stream. They'll stream on Twitch. I'll stream on YouTube. I'll be, kind of helping them out with their raids and stuff. And then at the end of the stream, because we had a really good successful stream last time, Scuff sponsored, where we gave away whatever Scuff you want. Basically, the winner just goes on to scuffgaming.com, and Mark in his picture, and just basically lists all the options they want, and then I will Scuff will ship them off them the following week. So
what time tomorrow?
Tomorrow 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll be streaming right here, right on YouTube, and then they'll be streaming on Twitch. So, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about because we didn't do a show last week.
That's right.
We got the Nightfall strike scoring. We got sandbox updates. We got big changes. And as I keep calling it, the slow TTKing of Destiny 2.
Destiny 2, yep.
And I think we got to start doing the hashtag. I don't know. It might make an appearance at GuardianCon. I don't know. Hashtag I still play D2 because notice I'm losing a lot of the dead weight on my channel because my comment section has shifted. It's all people that still enjoy the game. So I think the people that like to complain have moved on to other games and shit. Sorry. Like Fortnite and stuff. And I tried Fortnite last night. I like it. It's a fun game. I am terrible at it. But it's a completely different animal to Destiny 2. And I really don't think people should compare it. I get it why those big popular PvP streamers switch to it because they need that type of rush, like Battle Royale stuff. But for me, I mean, like, it's fun. But at the end of the day, I like shooting aliens and I like raiding and stuff like that.
It's funny. Like we know those people really well from Epic Games. I mean, obviously, they're also the makers of Paragon. We did Paragon Radio for a while. And we have a private chat no, it's hilarious. Keep doing that. We have a private chat with some of the people from Epic, and it's just hilarious. And they're amazing people. As far as if you want to talk customer service from a company, if you have a problem, they will directly get back to you immediately and fix the issue. They're an awesome company, so we will always support them 1,000,000%. But you're right about Fortnite. So Fortnite is kind of one of those deals like you can only do it for so long until you're like you're sweating and you're like, God, I'm stressed out, man. I can't deal right now. So you can do it for a while and it's so much fun and it's addictive. And you went, okay, never mind, we died. Let's jump back in again and let's do it. But after a while, you're like, God, you're pulling your hair out and you're freaking out. It's like it's stressful.
Well, dude, what's killing me with Fortnite?
Yeah,
I would say what's killing me with Fortnite right now is both of my kids are obsessed with Fortnite. Like, oh my God, man. Like I was at work today, my son was streaming Fortnite. Or like one day I was at work and I actually messaged our friends from Epic. I'm like, guys, my wife just messaged me to say my kids are playing Fortnite IRL in real life. Oh, they built forts in the living room because my wife said you couldn't play any more video games. Built forts and then put Nerf guns all around the house. And then like came in and were like, which is cool, right? That they did that. But guys, we got lots to talk about. What are we doing?
Just one last thing. What are we doing? Any game that's mostly PvP gets exhausting, and I don't know how like
it's
people
stressful.
do it.
It's stressful.
I love that's the thing. I know I'm not allowed to say this because then I get called an EA shill, and I have no ties to EA. I love Star Wars Battlefront 2. I play it every couple of nights, but I can only take it in like a dose. For 45 minutes, I play like 4 matches of Strike, 2 or 3 matches of Starfighter Assault, and then I'm tapped out. I want to go back to Destiny 2, and I want to shoot aliens and relax because it doesn't get so sweaty. You know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
All right, let's move on to Destiny.
Let's move on here, guys. But what's up, everybody here? Thank you here for tuning into the show. For those of you tuning in over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Guardian Radio, or over on Sean's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mesa Sean, you're probably seeing my camera cut in and out. My Mac is pretty much on the fritz, so literally my webcam will come up for about 5 seconds, not even, guys. You can see me right now talking, and then it's just going to disappear in 2 seconds. So I've been kind of popping in and out. I love Ed in the chat said it's literally my Guardian Con photo bombs again, which that's what I'm doing. So
it is.
I apologize for my camera, but next week it will be back. We're going Thursday to get a brand new iMac finally. Awesome. To get. I mean, this iMac is. I mean, this isn't even what I used to always record on. I always recorded on my MacBook. My hard drive died in that, so I've been recording on this old MacBook here for the last few months, and it's time.
Yes, Ed, I'm with you. I'm addicted to the Olympics too, sir.
But we got lots to talk about, guys. So let's just move on here with our news segment, the stuff where we talk about the things happening in the game right now or what's coming that we call Dispatches from the Traveler. All right. Well, where do we want to start? We want to talk a little bit about Crimson Days first. I think that might be the place to start because Crimson Days, and it seems like there's been some pretty good positive vibes out of the community. You go to the front page of Reddit, people saying, hey, I've been playing this week and I actually enjoyed it. It seems somewhat rewarding to play. What do you guys think? I mean, that's kind of the vibes I've been getting from everybody.
I'm going to give a very brief synopsis of what I think has been happening, and then I want Sean to jump in because he's done this more than any of us. So I think the difference with this year's Crimson Days versus last is due to the meta of the game and the team shotting meta. It equals the playing field versus the really high skilled people, because if you remember last year, what would happen is if you were really high skilled, one of them would just jump off the map and they would go try and do 1v2 and beat you. Right. And it was insulting. And then if you killed them and you beat them, you would like teabag the crap out of them because they were being jerks. But in this meta, what happens is because team shotting is so huge, you have to stick together, work as a team, and try and work those things out. So if somebody actually tries to do that and go 1v2, they're going to get wrecked, and I don't care how good you are. So I think that has been a really good thing to balance the playing field of the average player versus the high-end player, and I think it's been a really good balance to bring. What I always want is I want the average player to feel empowered. I don't want the average player to feel average or below average, because look, I'm not Mr. PvP. Yes, I've been in all this stuff, but I've typically been carried. I can carry my own weight, but I'm not a top 1%er. And you want to feel powerful when you're playing PvP. And if you're on a 2v2 and you're against the real crafties of the world, you have no shot. But with this meta, with team shotting being such a thing, and the TTK being as it was what it is, it really helps. We've got an email later from a husband and wife team that they talked to us about how much fun they've had, and it's really, really cool. I think that's what's helped this game mode in particular, is the way that Destiny 2's PvP is currently. So that's kind of my thoughts.
My thoughts is we've seen a dramatic right turn from the Dawning for this next live event, because you play the Crimson Days playlist, or you do activities in the game, and you get loot from the game. You can't get it from Eververse. She decrypts the engrams for you, but you can't get it. And the biggest thing that they put in was this knockout list, which was genius, because now it's going to recognize if you got something or bought something with Bright Dust. It took it off this list so that it would not give you a duplicate, so you had a chance to get everything. I put a video out because I haven't played PvP in a long time, so I actually got a ton of Crimson Engrams not playing PvP. I simply did patrols because the EDZ was a flashpoint this week, so I would do patrols. I did a whole video on all the math and everything, but you have a well-rested XP bonus for the first 3 levels and stuff, so I got everything from playing PvE. And the fact that I didn't have to buy anything from Tessa Everest is a big, I think, signal from Bungie to us as players, because I've seen a lot less people complaining about Eververse, which is a good thing. And also the fact that when you dismantle the items, you get Bright Dust. You don't get Legendary Shards. So to me, I say a big right turn because the Dawning, while it was fun for me, and I love the gear set, love it, there was a lot of issues with, because you needed Bright Dust and a lot of Bright Dust to buy all that stuff. Or you had to pay with silver, whereas they completely shifted. And I see them kind of nerfing Eververse a bit, whereas, I think Eververse will always be there to buy a few cool things here and there, but for the most part, they listen to us in that we want to do 2 things: play the game, get things. Play the game, get things. Now, granted, it was sparrows and ghost shells and, some exotic stuff, but I'm at the point where I need new weapons. You know what I mean?
Yep.
From the next live event, because I was thinking about it, with the last Iron Banner, I only played Iron Banner enough to buy the scout rifle. And it brought me, it reminded me of, man, when Iron Banner would roll around, Lady Aphrodite would show up with God rolls and maxed out stats for all the armor back when intellect, discipline, strength, and all that stuff mattered. And it really gave me some, man, I got to grind some Iron Banner. I only played for 60 tokens to buy that one weapon and stuff. You know what I mean? The ornaments and stuff like that, they're cool, but I think I'm at that stage where I'm kind of over it right now. You know what I mean? I don't really care what my Guardian looks like. I mean, they look cool and all, but I want new weapons, man. I need new toys, and I kind of feel like the weapons, that are coming with Iron Banner, or even we're gonna talk about, like faction rallies. Are they gonna change me from using Better Devils, Nameless Midnight, Origin Story, Uriel's Gift, The Prosecutor, Sins of the Past? No, you know what I mean? And I feel like the next live events maybe do half cosmetic, half weapons. We need new toys. That was the fun of Destiny 1, was getting them. And that goes back to random rolls. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but we need new toys, and I feel like for me, I'm over the ornaments, the way I look thing. I want new things to play around with.
Yeah, well, I think that's always the carrot, Sean, right? Is give me those new tools, the fun stuff to play within the game. Change my, I think when you hear people talk about a game like Warframe or even like Diablo, I mean, which I wish Bungie would go back to, that's kind of what we heard part of the Taken King was they talked to the Diablo team, said, hey, how did you save your game? Is when you find those new items, those new weapons, it changes your gameplay style or something about it. Like maybe now my gun, has a perk where guys are lit on fire, they have these elemental damage, all these type things. Just change up my gameplay just for a little bit, because then you're constantly chasing other things. But to go back to what you just said about Eververse, like the fact that this event now gave you the option to pretty much just play the game, have the knockout list in there. You're able to collect everything for the collectors of Destiny and not have to spend a dime.
Yep.
That really, when you go back to what the core problem was that everybody had when D2 launched, that was the problem, that there were things that were there that they couldn't get, especially with the Dawning. I think the Dawning was kind of, the tip of the iceberg where everybody just freaked out.
Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute, hold on. This is that was the tipping point.
And they changed.
So,
they changed the Dawning. I'm sorry. They changed Crimson Days, because remember before, I think it was before it was solidified, about a month before, it leaked all the pictures and stuff, and it looked like Eververse was going to be a big part. Yeah. Of Crimson Days. So again, it shows another message from Bungie, and here we go, Bungie apologists, whatever, but fuck you. Look, they're sending messages, right? And this and that. They are listening, okay? And the fact that we don't like something, they said, all right, you don't like it? Good. We're not going to do that anymore. Play the game. You get the things you want. You know what I mean? So to me, they're sending a message, and I'm happy with it, Good on their part.
Agreed.
Yep. Let's go back to This Week at Bungie from last week first. Yep. I want to talk about that before we talk about this week's. And this was the update that we missed last week, because we didn't do the show last week, where they talked about the Nightfall changes. Yeah. And the Nightfall, I remember even in D1 talking about, or year 2, year 3, saying like hashtag make the Nightfall great again. And personally, if you go back to when Destiny 2 came out, I was on board for this timer in the Nightfall, because I was like, you know what, it completely changes it. It's cool. It makes it neat. But I think like everybody else, I kind of just started getting a bit burned out on it. Like it's neat.
It makes it stressful again. That's the thing about the timer. It makes it stressful.
Oh, it does.
It was fun at first, but not anymore.
Right. I'm with Sean. It was fun at first.
Yeah, you get a rush. But if you constantly have a rush, you're like, enough. Can I relax for a minute?
Yeah. You know I miss those times when like Destiny 1 year 1, I'm under leveled, I'm forever 29. We're going through the Nightfall as slow as possible, because any Vex that I remember my first real Nightfall that really just like sticks in my head was Winter's Run, Archon Priest, and I got my first last word. But I remember that strike, we went through it so slowly, made sure we had a Sun Singer for self-resing at the end, and we went through it so meticulous and just we're so careful, and it was still just intense and everything, and we had fun. But I feel like the whole rushing thing, and then you just make it there with just a few seconds, and it's a buzzkill.
My play style has always been, I've been a completionist. I'm a collector. I'm a person that likes to finish everything. I'm the person that likes to go through every nook and cranny of a place and kill every single enemy and do that. I don't want to miss anything. Because a lot of times, especially in Bungie games, there's an Easter egg here or there. And if you go buy something because you're rushing, you missed so much stuff. You missed sandbox. You missed art. You missed so many things. You missed a certain enemy. You missed a certain loot box. Whatever it is, you will miss things when you're flying through. So what Bungie was counting on, I think, is that, fine, you try to make your run through and you go set your time and do your score, and then you go back through and take your time, because it doesn't matter. But that's not what happens, because nobody gives a crap. If the goal is just the score, nobody cares about the other art that you put hundreds and thousands of hours into to create, that they just ran right by because you have a timer on it. And it's just stupid.
And so I think the scoring, man, it's like the best of both worlds. It's like the timer is technically still there, but because you're going for this score, at 18 minutes, I think is what they're saying, the scoring stops. So there still is technically a timer there, but it's like, hey,
sort of,
challenge your team,
everything as fast as possible.
Right. Score, get through this. It's team based, so it's all based more on kills, and kind of how you're doing those kills. And your score is slowly going to bleed over time. And then once you beat it, so for people that just want to beat the Nightfall with their team and could care less about the score, you can take an hour if you want. Take your time, get through it. You finish a Nightfall. Kudos to you. But then there's going to be these challenge cards. And this to me is the interesting thing. Once you beat the Nightfall once a week, you're going to get this challenge card that's going to drop. And you're going to be able to go within that and customize all kinds of different options to basically make it more difficult for you and your team.
Make your own Nightfall, basically.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it's so cool, man, because now we're going to see, I mean, I think the last episode we talked about it, how one of the original competitive things for Destiny was speedrunning strikes. And now when you add on top of this, you know, the scoring element where then teams can go in and make it more difficult for themselves. Dude, I mean, we're going to start seeing people compete just trying to run the Nightfall. I mean, what was it? Was it the Prison of Elders where they were always posting the score?
It was the Challenge of Elders. Yeah,
that was it. I mean, how could you would see that every week, and they're probably going to do that again.
But then it enables us to really create unique things. Like I could totally picture Dado and some of the other creative folks like taking something and like just combining some ridiculous set of modifiers to make it really challenging for themselves. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at some of the things like they have Void, Solar, Arc, Singe, which gives you 25% increase to player and enemy damage of the corresponding element. There's Extinguish, where fire team wipes, returns the entire team to orbit. Then there's also a power modifier, which voluntarily decreases your power to gain a score bonus. And if you look on one of the cards, I have it pulled up in front of me. You see Solar Singe. I probably have to find. Okay, so yeah, there's a handicap that you could actually put on yourself. Yeah, here we go.
Yourself.
Okay, so I see one of the Nightfall. Okay, so there's a Nightfall challenge card that's a consumable. There's one present in your inventory. This enables modifiers in the Nightfall strikes on prestige difficulty. More challenging modifiers will apply larger score multipliers. And we see here, for an example, score multiplier of 2.15. Then it says power handicap 10. Then it has the two things on it. If your entire fire team falls in a restricted zone, when you can't respawn, everyone will be returned to orbit. Solar damage is increased slightly from all sources. And then you could look at your you could choose whether you want Solar Singe, do you want this, do you want that? So the question that I have, though, is what's the carrot, though? I like the scoring. This is a great step. And Christopher Barrett has talked or has kind of teased a little bit that strike-specific loot might be coming back, more than likely. What's the strike-specific loot going to be?
Well, I don't know this. We don't know the strike-specific loot yet, but we do know that you get a specific emblem.
Okay.
And with that emblem, it shows the score that you got in the Nightfall.
Huge for clans, man.
Which is, well, not only that, it's huge for just, you see this generic person in the tower or wherever, and you inspect them, and they have their emblem, and they have the same emblem as you, but their score beats you by 200 because they did more modifiers, or they did more the handicap, or they did the different things to make it as difficult as possible. And so then people are going to be, what's your Twitter going to look like with all the screenshots of their emblem with their Nightfall score?
Yep.
Who's got this?
Or wait a second. What if they bring in strike-specific loot, but it only drops depending on how hard you make it? You know what I mean? Like, what if it's like some special Outbreak Prime type weapon? You get an
exotic if you did all of the hardest things.
Like, there's a ridiculous Outbreak Prime.
Right.
You know, let's say that the next expansion does involve SIVA, right? And one of the Nightfalls, you know, because we know that during the Destiny 2 reveal, one of the Nightfall screens that it showed on, it said SIVA made their base out of the Exodus Black Ship or something like that. What if they made something would drop at specific maybe thresholds of how hard you made it? You know what I mean? Like, what if you made it abnormally hard, and all of a sudden, boom, it kicked off some exotic quest line or something like that?
They should even post the loot pool changes based upon what modifiers you put on.
Oh, that would be huge.
And then if you put on the hardest modifiers, this is what you'll win. If you put on the next level of modifiers, next one down, this is what you can win, and next, and so far and so forth. So then it gives you the actual carrot on the stick of, you know what you're going to get if you put the hardest modifiers on, and you beat the minimum, and you beat the minimum time, whatever it is, right? Don't make it ridiculous where you got to run through. Just you have to beat X amount of minutes with all of the hardest modifiers. You get X, I mean, whatever gun it is or whatever piece of armor it is.
Or, you know how I feel they're testing the waters with the raid perks, right? And I think they're going to roll out a set of perks for PvP and a set of perks for general PvE stuff. What if this was one of the carrots to chase? As you do the Nightfalls, depending on how difficult you do them, you get armor drops that have these new perks in them that you can't get anywhere else, you know?
Yep.
Whether it's bonus something within a Nightfall, bonus damage whatever. Make it similar to how you have the Leviathan and the Raid Lair set with 25% more ability damage. And I'm sorry, it's energy weapon damage. I think we're going
to see that, Sean. I definitely do, man.
I would love to see so we have the Raid set that's testing it. We all love it. I mean, I love it. It's been so much more fun. Have a PvP set, and I always throw in have a helmet that has Angel of Mercy for competitive that involves revives from Destiny 1 where you get more super energy for revives. Throw on increased melee attack speed. I used to that was my one go-to for my Warlock. Always had to make sure I had those gloves on if I get into a smacking contest with
We've got an email later about melees.
Okay.
Nice.
But just, you know what? We need more carrots. They're implementing systems. See, these are systems, and I love this. I love systems. Yeah. Now we just need to see what they're going to do with the systems to get us into the system, to get what's the rewards going to be. Because I really don't think auras and emblems are enough to really make us want to do it every week. I think some sort of loot or benefit that's going to make it easier to do the Nightfalls, whether
the aura wasn't enough carrot on a stick to make you do it, but you knew that you were going to get some epic loot and get the aura. And the aura did make a big difference that then when you were walking around the tower and you had that on, people knew what was up.
People knew. Yep.
And plus you got more rep from Destiny 1 when you did your Nightfall right away on Tuesday. Every faction, every patrol, everything got more rep. I could see them bringing that back too.
And the only reason they even brought the aura back is because of popular demand. It did. That's the reason they brought it back.
And so, they point out, like we're talking about here, that they just want to basically see how the system works before they can give us the true rewards and that they just need to see is this something that's feasible to work in the game. I mean, they even say we're not even calling this a competitive mode yet. Obviously that's the plan. I mean, that's the first thing that popped into my head with it, and even they're thinking that, but they need us to play it to break it. So when this system comes out, everybody I think needs to jump into this, and I give it a shot because I think this thing could be huge. Because this is even a great option for people that can't get 6 people together to run the raid. I mean, this is a fantastic end game type activity.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
it's you and 2 other buddies hop on, go for it, crank this thing up, crank it to 11. Turn it up, man. Yeah, this is the way I think a great thing for them to do. In terms of the raid, we did find out too there are some raid changes. This is coming to the prestige mode right now. Prestige mode is going to, this version requires players to complete raids filled with deadly enemies using a curated loadout of weapons and a special modifier that enhances the way you play. So what they're going to do essentially, week 1 an example is Eater of Worlds. The modifier is Marksman. Precision damage is increased. Landing a precision shot grants 1 ammo directly to the magazine. The required loadout is a hand cannon for your kinetic energy.
This is brilliant.
Scout power.
Yeah, this is brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, so, I mean, this idea of basically forcing people to go into the raid with a set loadout with these modifiers on, I think is great. But I think it goes back to what we were just talking about.
What's the carrot?
That's exactly right.
What's the carrot for me doing this? Yeah,
exactly. So the funny thing is, what they did was they artificially created a carrot for different weapon types being leveled up. Yeah. Because everybody has the archetype and the playstyle that they like. Like I like scout rifles, so I'm always using Mida. I like, in my energy slot, I like having my auto rifle. So I usually run Mida, auto rifle, and then probably a rocket launcher, depending if it's PvE or PvP, whatever if it maybe shotgun, but usually it's a rocket launcher. But with these forced loadouts, if the Nightfall that week is hand cannon, whatever it is, and you're like, oh my god, the best hand cannon I have is a 235 hand cannon. What do I do now? Right. So it gives you an artificial carrot on a stick to then either level one up that you have or go get one. Right. And that's kind of where that's going. But the problem with that is what's going to, I think, happen is people will skip it. It's not going to incentivize them to go get that weapon. They're going to skip it.
But if there's an incentive, a carrot at the end of the stick that if you complete, let's say this loadout right here, hand cannon, scout rifle, linear fusion rifle, if you complete it with those weapons, you get XYZ. There needs to be a carrot because you're right. If there's no carrot, if it's just armor, I'll skip that week. Right. Looking at week 2 where it says for the Raid Lair, sidearm, submachine gun, shotgun for the Raid Lair. Now, these are all hypotheticals, of course, he says right up top. If I'm not getting a carrot, I'm going to skip that week. You know what I mean? There's got to be. And I think, once again, these are all systems right now. We need to figure out what the carrot's going to be at the end of it,
right?
In terms of loot, you know.
Right.
Yep. So interesting stuff, man. I mean, it's cool to see them at least playing with what's in the game now, adding some systems on top of it.
I want to add one. I want to add one little thing. So
see where it goes, man.
They listen so much and are trying to they're trying to appease the audience so much that I'm laughing at chat. Sorry. That they're going to significant extremes to try and find a balance that players like. That, man, it's look, something we're going to talk about from this week at Bungie is the balance is not easy. Making these games is not easy. Making what the fans want is not that easy. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but dude, they listen better than any companies that I've ever seen. And we have friends at Epic Games, and they listen probably as good as Bungie does. And those two companies are probably my favorite two gaming companies because they listen, man. And anybody that says they don't, you're not paying attention. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen.
Yep. Let's move on to this week. And this week at Bungie, we had, of course, the announcement that Faction Rallies is coming again. So it's kicking off tomorrow as we're recording this. Nothing too new here. I mean, this seems to be pretty much just same deal, right? I mean, we got the 3 new weapons. I mean, what do you guys think of these weapons? You got any early feedback?
I did a video on, I think New Monarchy is going to win this one again because of the fact that the scout rifle is pretty decent. And the winning weapon, I'm pulling it up right now. Okay,
it's a Pulse, isn't it? The New Monarchy?
Well, okay, so they're throwing in weapons into the engrams that you can cash in for tokens, right? So for if you just cash in tokens, you can get a new linear fusion rifle for Dead Orbit, a Omalon hand cannon, and a scout rifle that looks like a DIS-47 for New Monarchy. Right. You also will be able to get last Faction Rally's winning auto rifle. So there's a Future War Cult auto rifle, the Energy Vice Dead Orbit auto rifle, and then, of course, the New Monarchy one. But then
that Hake New Monarchy one looks sick, by the way.
Yeah. And then New Monarchy, the winning weapon is a slow-firing, high-impact pulse rifle, but it's got Rampage on it. That's one of the best perks in the game. You got a scout rifle, and a pulse rifle.
Looks
for
like
Dead
a
Orbit. Yep,
looks
and
like
then a scout rifle for Future War Cult. And Future War Cult is going to lose it again because Future War Cult, when I first saw this, it's like, that's a nameless midnight, man. It looks like one. No, it's not. It does not compute with, I think, some average perks. I did a whole video on it last week, but it just goes back to one of those things, like, man, like the perks on some of these weapons, like, I kind of feel like it goes back to Destiny 1 where when Iron Banner would roll around, because if you grinded the heck out of it, you'd get a god roll, something you could buy from Lady Efforty. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I feel like with these weapons with static rolls, the Omalon hand cannon for Future War Cult stinks. The linear fusion from Dead Orbit has Outlaw on it, and that's cool. But when I use the linear fusion, if I do use it and not using rockets, my phone is ringing. Hold on.
Wow.
Hello, my shoes fell off.
The phone is ringing.
The linear fusion rifle, I'm always going to use for DPS. So Outlaw's not going to proc for me because I'm using it not to take out yellow bars, but like just to shoot a boss in the head. The auto rifles are pretty cool, but I don't know, just like the weapons don't really blow me away just in terms of their perks.
Let me ask you a question. So I think we all agree. I think New Monarchy is going to win again. Is it just the red? I think it's just the red.
I always thought it was just black and white with Dead Orbit.
I know they've got the best ones. It was, but they have they have a Viced linear fusion which looks kind of gray. They have a Viced auto rifle which again looks like kind of like a linear fusion, but it's kind of like meh. And both of those two weapons that are red with the muzzle on them looks ridiculous.
They look pretty sweet.
And then the pulse rifle, I mean, it kind of is like a messenger almost. It's like
it looks dope, dude.
They look great, but not only that, the ghost shell, the ghost shell, the ship, and the ornaments and everything about New Monarchy blows away every other faction.
All right, am I going to have to pledge New Monarchy this week?
If you want to buy it for 1,000 instead of 50.
No. Have you seen what the hunter? Have you seen what a female awoken hunter looks like with the New Monarchy full set ornaments on? Looks amazing. They have great ornaments.
The red
Ghost
looks sick.
they don't have the fat puffy ghost shells that we don't like, K-Dub. They have a real ghost shell with a lion, and plus, if you look at all their weapons, they stick that little lion, little gold emblem on the side. It looks cooler. You know what I mean? Yep. But it goes back to the perks, man. And I feel like right now, Future Warcult's going to lose again.
I agree. Agreed. They should have made that. They should have made that scout rifle because they had 2 pulses and a scout. If they would have made that scout epic, dude, they would have done it. But they just didn't. Yep. They didn't go overboard and make it they needed to make it a broken scout rifle.
Yeah,
you need to. You can always nerf it later. Make it a broken scout rifle. Come on, let's have some fun. Jeez.
Break it. Please break your game. It's when it's the most fun, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let's talk, speaking of breaking the game, let's talk about some sandbox changes that potentially, hey, you never know. They can always break the game when they get into the sandbox. But John Wisniewski in this week, they were talking about the exotic tuning pass, which I know is something that many people are interested in. What changes are coming to the exotic weapons? And here's some of the things that he said. He said, what? And this says he visits us from the kitchen with an update on the exotic tuning pass. Our team is working on diligently making exotics more exotic. He mentions how, shortly after release, they were happily inundated with a mountain of player feedback.
Hang on, I got to stop you because this was my favorite sentence
in
any This Week at Bungie ever in the history of Bungie. And he said, shortly after release, we were happily inundated with a mountain of player feedback. If you don't understand the sarcasm in that freaking sentence, holy crap, dude. That is funny. And they listened to it all. That's what's hilarious with this. So go ahead, Barb. But that, and there's one other one later, but that sentence was just like, thank you, even though you were all tools with your feedback. We listened to it all. Here's what we're doing.
Yeah, and that was, speaking, of course, about Destiny 1, and then he says we're going to do it again with Destiny 2, and this time including exotic weapons and armor. And so here's their goals for this pass. They want to tune exotic gear focused on adding and/or increasing player power spikes. Because, we always talk about it. We want to feel powerful. We want to feel like a god as a guardian. That's when you feel at your best.
You want to feel OP.
Yes. They're going to focus on low usage items, but all items are going to be considered in this pass. And they're going to lean into an item's established gameplay and push it harder and avoid catch-all improvements that dilute the item's identity. So he says, how's this going to play out? Well, here's an example. The Graviton Lance. He says the functional concept is a weapon that fires 2 cosmic void rounds that creates a 0 air resistance tunnel for a high caliber precision shot to fire through. The first 2 rounds have almost no recoil and prime the air, and the 3rd round does high damage with no fall off. A kill knocks the body back with considerable force that tumbles and then explodes. He says the player feedback has said, hey, this looks great, sounds great, need explosion. I can't get kills in PvP because all the damage is at the end of the burst, and it kicks too hard, of course, to follow up. And so here's what they're going to do. It says the spectacle of our ton of spectacle, basically no utility. So to target the first pain point, we reduced the recoil of the burst, added some aim assist, and changed it from 3 rounds to 2.
Yep.
So this way, boom, it's just going to hit. It says, in fact, it gives Graviton a slight mathematical edge against other pulse rifles.
Right.
So there you go, being able to go in and tune those specific items, specific guns, man.
If you think about what they're talking about, and we're going to get into a little more of this in depth here in a minute, this is how difficult this is. Just changing one gun from 3 shots to 2. All of the stuff that you just read off, and you didn't even read it all, you only read the stuff that I had highlighted, is what they had to input into the game, test, fix, and make sure that it works. And the math works, because that's what's important. People don't realize the math. That it all works and that it is seamless is not. Man, it's so hard.
Well, that and plus,
hold on. Here's the next step. Here's the next step.
Meetings going.
Now go to the next. Right.
So here's the thing. So they changed that on the actual weapon itself, but that wasn't enough. They had to go in and actually tune the ragdoll body of the characters in the game. Yeah. He said that we made it so that rather than violently flying backwards and likely out of range of a potential splash damage opportunity, the defeated opponent floats back and up. Then we made the explosion bigger increased the damage and added some void field projectiles that seek out.
It's kind of like Outbreak Prime.
Like Outbreak, right.
The night before that they put this out, actually, they were going, like, those guys are playtesting stuff right now. John and a few of the other devs were tweeting back and forth that they, like, were having some matches, and they were saying something between Graviton versus Skyburner's Oath, right? Skyburner's Oath is fun in PvP. And then I tweeted to John, I said, are you making the cosmology perk bigger? So then, you know, like, he just respond, wink face. I guess you could say big. You know what I mean? You're just like saying basically yes. You know, because listen, we all love Firefly from Destiny 1. We like explosions, you know, and Dragonfly is just not cutting it right now. You know what I mean? So I feel like they either need to bring back Firefly or make Dragonfly like Firefly. But it's nice to see something like Graviton Lance that has this type of perk where things are going to explode, because you want to kill an ad and then have it do some splash damage to, you know, that was the beautiful thing about Outbreak Prime, you know, was when you were laying into some dregs that were next to a fallen captain or something, that fallen captain would start taking damage from the little nanites that would come off the drag.
Right. Oh, I love that gun, man. Still like it too.
That's what I wanted.
Besides my Mida, dude. Like,
we're going to talk about it here in a minute because it's coming up. But that's what I wanted Vigilance Wing to be. I wanted Vigilance Wing to be the next Outbreak Prime.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah. So here they did go in to say that at the time of writing this of the update, these are the following weapons that are not getting an update: Merciless, Telesto, Warcliffe Coil, Mida, the Colony, Legend of Acreus, and the Vigilance Wing. And he said some of the above perform well without needing changes, while others, like the Vigilance Wing, are already benefiting from the tuning changes that are already planned coming in 1.1.4.
Right. So they're already buffing Vigilance, thankfully.
Kind of through that, yeah. Right. So what are you going to say, Sean? Was there something you were going to say when we were talking about the Vigilance Wing or no?
Well, Vigilance Wing, I think what they're inferring here is that because of what they're going to do to, like, auto rifles and other weapons, I think, means that Vigilance Wing might be in a better place.
Yeah.
Or am I just kind of reading into that, I think, you know?
I think somebody's saying in the chat that Sunshot is not on the list. I think that they mentioned Sunshot somewhere, didn't they, Sean? When we did this on this. By the way, Sean and I've been doing a live stream every time that this week at Bungie goes live on his live YouTube channel. Check it out at Mesa Sean on YouTube. But didn't they mention Sunshot somewhere?
I don't think
Sean?
they did, but you and I started talking about it.
Is that what it was?
Because when they were on Crucible Radio, they talked about how they created Sunshot and how they kind of brought the influence from Firefly from Destiny 1 and how much everyone loved explosions. So they wanted to make a hand cannon that caused explosions and things like that. So I think you and I were wondering, so I guess Sunshot's going to go under the knife this time. Maybe. I mean, what else are they going to do to it? I mean, it's really good now. I know on PC, I mean, I don't play on PC, but I think on PC, like, Sunshot's really good on PC. But on PS4, I'm always using auto rifles. Or if I use a hand cannon, I'm only going to use Better Devils, you know?
Right.
And then they do, of course, go on to say that obviously this takes tons and tons of time to play test. They can't just play one Crucible match and say, push it out, you know, let's go live, do it live. No, it's a ton of work. And I want to read this. I want to read this one. I want to read this one part, Mark, because this makes the point that I was kind of talking about, where it's hard to make video games. It says we'll be touching a lot of powerful gear with this update, and to truly understand the impact for players requires a lot of design iteration and test time. It isn't enough to crank up the damage and run one strike or Crucible match with a gun and helmet and move on. Dialing in the right amount of power, testing in all activities with all types of loadouts, finding the bugs, fixing the bugs, updating the perk description, texting to reflect the new behavior, and then handing that off to localization for translation. It's a little bit of work. Yeah.
But we're
but
we're up to it, and we sincerely appreciate your patience. I believe it will be worth the wait. So the point that I'm making is you can't just go, all right, Buffett, go. No, man.
And then on top of this, what they're not mentioning is I can almost guarantee you the hours of meetings they must have sitting in a room discussing every single exotic and what needs to be done. What's the player feedback? What's Reddit saying? What's Twitter saying? What's our data saying? What's the analytics telling us of who's using what kind of damage? Why are they using it? And this and that. I'm sure that's, you know, Christopher Barrett, someone made a snide remark to him, and he said something to, well, I only do this about 12 hours a day trying to change all these things within Destiny 2. You know what I mean? Like, these guys sit there for hours, I'm sure, in meetings before they even attempt to put these things under the knife. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Can't wait to see what they're going to do, man. I think there's some good things on the way for Destiny 2, some good positive things for sure. And hey, everything they're saying, man, for me, it's getting me excited to want to just jump back in and start playing again. So,
dude, they're doing the same thing. We're broken records, but they're doing the same thing.
I know,
man. Destiny 1 was
like we've done this before, right?
Destiny 1 needed serious work in year 1. People so quickly forget that Dark Below was 5 story missions, 1 raid, 1 strike if you were not on PSN. Things did not change until the Taken King came out, you know? But we're comparing a brand new game with 3 years of updates, 3 years of buffs and nerfs and changes, and 3 years of DLCs. Folks, relax. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. I guarantee you.
We'll get there.
All right, let's move on here to the part of the show where we help you find a clan. So if you're somebody that's, wanting to find people to play with, we always are spotlighting clans here on the show. And if you think your clan has what it takes, email us, feedback@theguardiansofdestiny.com. Put clan spotlight in the subject line, and you may have your clan heard here on the show. Caleb, who do you got for us this week, man?
This one's a wee bit long, but it's really good. So I have on the Xbox side of the world, on Xbox One, Fire Team with Benefits. So there's some criteria that I look for when I do these spotlights. 1 is a clever name. 2 is how many people do you have in there, and 3 is what is your message and what do you bring to the table. So here we go. Fire Team with Benefits. Destiny 2 launched, and we were just all chilling in a party, leveling up and thinking to ourselves, we need a clan. Naturally, we began goofing and suggesting several different clan names, some bad, some clever, mostly inappropriate. And in the end, we realized that the biggest draw for being in a clan were the extra rewards. There were benefits to being in a giant fire team, and thus Fire Teams with Benefits was born, which is just the right amount of bad, clever, and inappropriate mixed together. I agree wholeheartedly. Hence your spotlight. Nowadays, the rosters change up a bit, but the clan operates with the same ideals as before. All skill levels, players new and old are welcome. 2 rules: have fun and be respectful. I love that. You got 2 rules in a clan: have fun, be respectful. I like it. Fire Teams with Benefits revolves around the people playing the game. Destiny 2 is just a canvas for our beautiful chaos. We encourage consistent engagement. If you're only here for the benefits and not the fire teams, quite frankly, you shouldn't be in a clan. We pride ourselves in being more than just a clan. We don't specialize in anything in particular. The main thing we hope to accomplish is to give players a chance to experience the true Destiny 2. Whatever it is you want out of the game, we will help you get there. No one should have to play alone, and no one deserves to miss out on content. We have roughly 35 active players, hoping to boost the number, usually 5 to 15 logged on every day, sometimes 20 on the weekdays. Goal is to get as big as we need to be. If more than 100 members want to be a part of FWB, we'll make it happen. We communicate through Bungie.net and the app, as well as Band. Hey,
never heard of it.
Never heard of it. We organize events such as raid runs and nightfalls, as well as silly things like hide and go seek. With the introduction of private matches, we hope to have so much more planned. We also have things to do like best Destiny theme, Valentine quotes, or e-cards, and hope to do a Reddit Secret Santa this holiday. So they are really, really engaged. They sound like they're so much fun. They have 2 rules. Man, have fun and be respectful. I can respect this clan. If you're on the Xbox side, you should look these guys up. And the contact information is, the Xbox gamer tag is Epic Revolts, and it's EPIK, Epic, space, Revolts, REVOLTZ. So Epic with a K, Revolts with a Z. Bungie.net, same thing, Epic, space, Revolts with a K and a Z. Hope you guys hit them up if you're on the Xbox side and you're looking for people to play with. There you go.
Yep. And again, if you want your clan to be spotlighted here, email us, feedback@theguardiansofdestiny.com, and put clan spotlight in the subject line. So, all right, guys, let's move on to our emails. We have some good emails this month in our email segment that we call Messages from the City. All right, don't forget, I said email us, feedback@theguardiansofdestiny.com, just like Princess Zelda 13. Princess Zelda, nice.
Best email we've had in months.
Yep. Right. Okay. It says, Guardian Radio, first, thank you for everything you do. My husband and I enjoy listening to you guys every week. Well, hello, Princess Zelda. And I guess your husband is Link 13. Probably not. Additionally, my husband and I have also been enjoying Crimson Doubles together, which got me thinking, to help with the declining Trials population, could Bungie implement more game modes? For example, would putting doubles, rumble, or even mayhem in the playlist get people excited again? I would like to finish by asking for a small favor. Could you please remind my Crimson Doubles Valentine that Titans are, in fact, the master class? Yes.
First off,
Titans are indeed the master class.
I love that idea. You know what I mean? I don't know how well received Survival is with the competitive community. I think they prefer Countdown. But at this point,
the competitive community has moved on, so who cares?
Yeah, I know they're playing Fortnite.
Because I really, really, really like that game mode.
But if you told me that Mayhem was the mode for trials, I would gear up all my friends. Like, I don't care.
Could you imagine that, bro?
Let's have fun. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we try to play these games to have fun. You know what I'm saying? We're not competitive sweaties. The competitive sweaties, they won't like that because they want it to be competitive and they got to,
But, you know what, Sean, is it me or does it just seem like, and again, it's probably just part of just people's negativity towards Destiny 2, but like Trials in Destiny 2 just doesn't seem to have a sweaty community at all around Trials. Yeah. So why not just say, screw it? Let's just throw Mayhem in Trials.
Make it fun, yeah.
It'd be so much fun, man. So many people who don't go into Trials every week because just in their head they think of how sweaty it possibly is. We'll just go in there and just have fun, man. I think it would be a great way to just spice up that playlist, dude.
Trials of the 9 Rumble, I mean, come on. That would be, I mean, they'd have to change up the card a little bit, I think.
Of course, right.
I would play that, you know?
I have a silly thought, and go with me down this rabbit hole for a second. Imagine that there was a benefactor that had more money than he knew what to do with, whatever, and he says, it's $1 million tournament for Destiny 2 PvP, and it's X.
Mm-hmm.
How many people would be going ape doo-doo over Destiny 2 PvP and becoming as proficient as they could with strats and loadouts, and it would be bonkers. If the money was there, the interest would be there because the game is amazing. It really is. So can it be, you know, tweaked to your advantage in team shot and stuff like? Yes, absolutely right. So, but if there was a situation where it was whatever the loadout was, or forced loadouts, something like that, I think if there was somebody that was like, we're going to have $1 million Destiny 2 PvP contest. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the streamers and the people that all of a sudden would be practicing and having sweaties, and it would explode.
You know, I think the declining Trials population, in my opinion, stems from the lack of hero moments. Because if we look back at Destiny 1, when I would watch, you know, True Vanguard or Crafty, it was all about the weapon system. They would snipe. They would use shotguns, you know, whereas I think they're going to eventually throw snipers, shotguns, fusions, because Christopher Barrett did address that. They want to bring them more into their glory.
Snipers have to come back.
They're going to throw them into the energy slot, which I'm fine with. Just make them have limited ammo like you did within Destiny 1. But I think that's the problem I think that the trial streamers had, and why they kind of left was because of the fact that it's just team shooting auto rifles or Midas or anti-opes. Whereas I feel like if they had sniping back, I'd go back to watching real Crafty snipe the whole time.
Exactly right.
The guy was God. He just looked at you and you died. You know what I mean? So I feel like that is more of a factor on the declining population. You know what I mean? But throwing in, I love this idea with new game modes because this would bring in people who aren't the competitive people.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
want to go have this
just
weird,
have fun, man.
Bizarre thing called fun.
Oh, who would ever thought? Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. A video game.
By the way, I want to point out, you're talking about Crafty. We've had him on the show, you know, and he's a great dude. I've met him a number of times, and we've hung out at the Guardian Con and in LA at the event. But so the funny thing is, I watched him the first few weeks at D2 because you really couldn't do snipers.
Yeah.
And he was still carrying, you know, people. He was just a solo carrying everybody using Scout Auto. So he's absolutely exceptionally skilled. And that was before he even went to PC, which he's even better on. But it just goes to prove that, like, you know, like guys like him, it doesn't matter what the loadout is. It doesn't matter what the game mode is. They'll find a way if they want to play and want to win. And that's the point that I'm making, that if there's the incentive to go play the game, they will.
Yeah,
everybody will. It's just, unfortunately, for some reason, people have the thought that they don't have the incentive anymore. And so they go play another game that isn't, in my opinion, any better. It's just different. And because they've all gotten a jaded point of view for some reason. And I think, if you really think about things openly, if Destiny 1 never happened and we were playing this iteration of Destiny 2 at Destiny 1, it would be just as I think it would be bigger than it was even with Destiny 1 with this iteration of the game. But because they know what they had and what they have now, it's jaded, and it's hard to watch sometimes. But I mean, it's an amazing game, and I think you're right, Sean. I think it'll get TTK'd over time. But we got to get there, right? So we do.
Let's see. Next email comes to us from Major Risk, and he says, "I like playing Destiny despite its quirks and such, but there are some things about the game that always made me say WTF. Number one, if the player's shield is a single protecting energy covering the entire player, why is it weaker around the player's head? Number two, swords seem to be a shield obliterating one-hit kill in PvP, yet the hunter with Rambo knife in hand melees another player in the skull and barely does damage. Yet a warlock with their tractor cannon like melee does more damage from a distance. And snipers, if I shoot a sniper in the head or weapon while he or she is aiming down their sights, shouldn't they lose their sight picture?" He says, "These are just a few things I've always wondered about while playing and sometimes raging out about. If I'm overlooking something, please school me. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work." Just video games, right? I mean, I think it's just, you shoot them in the head. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the way it works. I think what he's pointing out isn't even really set to Destiny. It's just every game has just weird rules. They're video game rules, man.
On the first one, the bottom line is it's not the shield. It's you do more damage to the head.
Yeah.
The shield is the same. So if the shield, just to use the basic math, if the shield all around your body, everywhere that it is, covers 200. You for 20 hit points, and it's 100 to the body and it's 150 to the head, it's going to do less guarding because it gives you more damage to the head. It's not that the shield does less protecting, it's that the shot does more damage. Yeah. That's number one. So you guys go number 2 and number 3.
Well, I mean, dude, what was it really to say there? I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, again, a sword is a one-hit kill. The Rambo knife barely doing anything but
the Rambo knife. The Rambo knife is a melee. It's just a melee. It's just the hunter's melee happens to be a knife. It's still a melee. Right. The warlock melee has always been wicked OP. We all know that. It's tickle fingers from a million miles away. That's been the number one bitch about warlocks since the day D1 dropped. We get it. It has since gotten a little bit better and more in line, but it's always going to have more range. It just is. So adjust your play style accordingly and shoulder charge them in the face.
I still think the time to kill is too long in this game.
I agree.
I prefer, when I went back a few weeks ago, just, for a goof to get some footage from Destiny 1 and I played a Crucible match. That's the reason why, I realized, I'm like, why am I just terrible with Mida in Destiny 2? It's because I was used to the amount of damage it did in D1 to kill someone. Whereas in D2, it takes maybe 1 or 2 more shots, I think, depending on what range you are,
Right.
I still feel like, and I haven't tweeted this publicly because I don't know how people would receive it, but I feel like rather than changing all of these weapons and stuff, what if they just did a blanket reduction in health just by make it similar to Destiny 1? I mean,
that might
what do you guys think about that? You know what I mean?
I'll tell you, Sean, I think part of their mentality about the time to kill being longer goes back to the days of Halo. I mean, that was why I always was more of a Halo player over Call of Duty. Call of Duty was, I saw you first, you're dead.
Insta kill, yeah.
Halo was more about, I can actually, we have an engagement, and even if you're behind me, I can turn around and we can actually duel it out just a little bit. And I think with Destiny 2, they tried to kind of bring that in, and part of that was just because of snipers and shotguns being so OP'd in Destiny 1, even by the end, they just said, all right, well, maybe this will be the simple fix if we make the time to kill longer. And it's not, I agree with you. It doesn't feel so much like Destiny because of that. And maybe that is the fix. Maybe just give us less health, make it just a quick, and then that would even kind of get rid of the team shotting so much, because then you don't feel forced to have to team shot.
Yeah, because there were times like within Destiny 1, I'd be on Cauldron and I would catch two guys sleeping. They were too busy looking into B-Dom, and I'd sneak around and flank them. And with Mina, I'd clean both of them up. You know what I mean? Whereas if I even try to do that in Destiny 2, I'm going to get team shot. And because so many times, because of my poor aim, obviously my aim is terrible, but I'll be laying into someone, and just as they're about to die, they get off the screen for me. Whereas in Destiny 1, I clearly would have wasted them, you know?
So I want to comment on this. So one of my major complaints, and one of the reasons that the only COD that I really ever enjoyed was Blop's Deuce, as Sean and I could say. But the problem with that game is the time to kill is too short. It's whoever sees the other person first wins. And in Destiny 1, there was some of that. It wasn't as bad because you had movement that those COD games didn't, and a lot of times you could escape, but most often you didn't. And the time to kill was a little bit too fast in D1, but in D2 it's too slow, and that's why there's so much team shotting. That's part of it. But so there's a crazy fine line of balance that I have. What's up, Max? There's a crazy fine line of balance of where that proper time to kill is, where you can maybe win a 1v2, or if you get the jump on somebody, they can still escape and win. There has to be, it's such a fine line, and it's so hard to do. And they tried to make it longer to make it so it wasn't COD-like, and to make it where you could avenge against somebody that got the jump on you, but it's gotten to be a little too out of whack. And it's like, where is that? Man, it's so hard. It's so hard, you guys.
Yeah.
You know? Really is.
Let's see. We got one more email. This one comes to us from Johan Vandermeiden. I think I said that right?
You did that right? You did.
He's from Holland. Yeah, he's from Holland.
I typed it perfectly for you.
He says, "Hi guys. As a former hardcore Destiny player, I can say I'm looking forward to Season 3 of D2 because I already own all exotics and legendaries that matter. There's no incentive to play anymore. I already tweeted to Sean my idea about making the grind for weapons real again by giving us 4 versions with each different perks, 2 PvP focused and 2 PvE focused. This way it would be easy for the sandbox team to balance the weapons without reintroducing the random rolls, and for all the Guardians, the grind would be real again with the increasingly growing loot table. This week, Kakix HD put out a video to rethink this a bit because he blames the intrinsic perks for the lackluster loot table, and I partially agree with him. He says, combining my idea with the one he has, making the intrinsic perk random for all weapons, I think it would greatly increase the carrot to chase and quality of life for D2. I think giving us the 4 different rolls of the same weapons with the option of it dropping with 1 of 2 set intrinsic perks per archetype would improve the loot pool by increasing it from 1 weapon to 8 different options of the same gun. It says, I hope it wasn't too messy for you guys, especially my writing, as I'm from Holland. Loving the podcast every week and looking forward to episode 241. And I will listen Thursdays or Fridays when driving from work. Keep up the good work because you guys are my main reason I still want to play Destiny with all the negativity on the net these days. Awesome. Greets from Holland, Johan Vandermeiden.
Johan, thank you, man.
Thank you for that email, man. Yeah. Thank you for that tweet, too.
I literally talked to the guys about your email before the show because it's
we had a good conversation about it.
Thank you very, very much. So you guys dive in here.
I mean, I think that's a great way to still give people, you know, the not necessarily those god rolls, but it would be like, okay, well, here's a Better Devils, and we know there's 8 different types of Better Devils. One of them is going to be the god roll Better Devils, and then people start chasing that, and when it drops,
for PvE. There's a different one that's a god roll for PvP.
I mean, that's what the game. That's what made Destiny 1 so great, and why so many people continue to play was to chase those things. Man, if they can just introduce that, I don't want to say it's a simple change, but it's a great way to get people just playing again, man. Yeah, honestly.
If they can't give us random rolls back, this is a good substitute. You know what I mean? Because they have key things that they can change in there and make them hard to get, you know, make them maybe not quest lines, but make them difficult. You know what I mean? Because we as a Destiny community complain. If we think about year 1, the first 6 months, we complain about nothing ever dropping. And then we complain too much when everything drops. I remember the summer of 2015, I grinded I think it was either Rock Strikes or Dragon Strikes. I forgot the name of them back then, but to try to get a Hopscotch Pilgrim every night, hours on end. I finally got one. Yep. You know what I mean? So they need to find a balance between giving us a lot of stuff and not giving us enough. But I love this idea, but just make it so that it's not like we all instantly week 1, I have all 8 of those Better Devils or whatever, and this and that. You know what I mean? Right. But the bottom line is, yeah, if they're not going to go to random rolls, I wish the mods 2.0 thing was coming earlier. You know what I mean? But then again, I've said this before. You throw the development plan and all the changes they're making onto an expansion released all at once, it's the Taken King all over again. Community Twitch would blow up like crazy, I bet. Mm-hmm. But time is not on their side right now, because if they're hemorrhaging players, they need to bring people back. So by slowly bringing these things back, when that new expansion in May hits, which they have confirmed, expansion will coincide with Season 3. I think the expansion number 2 is going to be awesome. When you throw on these raid changes, you throw on all the Crucible. We didn't even go over. There was, I think, 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago that this week at Bungie they're doing these speed changes where we're all going to get faster within the Crucible. So you tack on all those quality of life changes, weapon changes, sandbox changes. Then you throw new content on there, new exotics, new weapons, new stories, new strikes, a new raid lair. I think we're going to be in for a really good time this May.
Definitely, man.
You know, and it's funny. So something that we're going to be talking about a lot at Guardian Con is, some of these things like making this game great again. And when are people going to embrace it? Like, we still have fun. We still love the game. Our community, the people that follow and love us, they still play and love the game. So when are those people that have waned, what's going to make them come back? Not that I give a crap, to be honest, but what's going to make the average person that has now stepped away for whatever myriad of reasons that they have, whether they're jaded or not, what's going to make them go, oh, wait a minute, hang on, and make that shift again?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this, man, like for me personally, and people, if you're friends with me on PSN or you follow me on Twitter, and I mean, even Sean says too, we play other games, man. Like I personally have waned many times over Destiny 2, but I never walk away with a bad taste in my mouth. Ever. Like some of the people you're talking about, Caleb. And this week for me, I had a great experience. I never played Destiny with my daughter. My daughter's 8 years old. I said, you know what? Let's fire up Destiny 2. My son, awesome. he played Destiny 1 with us a lot, started a character in Destiny 2, got to the point where he got to the farm and all that, but then just was like, nah, I don't want to play anymore, Dad. I was like, okay. Put my daughter, because I have 2 PS4s. There's one right over here to my right. I'm like, you know what? Hop on. Just start with this character. You and I can go out. We can go into the European Dead Zone and just have fun. Dude, we played for like just an hour. She was completely blown away. And it just, an engram drops. It's a blue. And she is freaking out like, oh, look at it. Like, oh, my God, this is so cool. And she was just dumbfounded how you can change your equipment, and was just having a blast walking around looking at all the buildings and seeing all that stuff. And it's like, you know what?
That's what I was saying about the people. If you've never seen Destiny 1 and your first dive in was Destiny 2,
you would freak out, bro. And I remember in Destiny 1, almost the same conversation. I think it came maybe shortly after Taken King came out, or when Taken King everybody was kind of, slowing down a little bit after that. And that's when my son played for the first time. And I remember the excitement he got when he got his first exotic, or even his first legendary engram. And we forget about how much fun that was. So it's like, I don't understand how you could walk away from the game and just be so jaded. And again, I don't want to go down this road because we've beat this to the ground, but it's like, don't forget how much fun you've had with this game at some point, and come back when you think you want to come back, play for a little bit and leave. But don't just leave and be like, I'm done with Destiny. Like,
well, no, it's just
come on, man. Come on.
I've said this before. We live in a society of everyone wants attention. It's recreational outrage. Again, but it's like everyone like, I'm leaving Destiny. You know what? 20% of the people don't care, and the other 80% want you to feel that way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're all going to come back at some point, and call them out in it. I'm looking at my time wasted on Destiny right now. I have 513 hours and 47 hours wasted. So when they all come back, people must think I'm never on because I always hide myself offline when it comes to PSN. But for me, it's still relaxing. Like, I like to listen to podcasts, obviously. And a lot of times I'll be playing Destiny, but I'll have my headphones turned down low, but I'll have a podcast with video on while I'm grinding. That's what I've been doing. I'm getting all these Crimson Days, Engrams, is playing public events, patrols, well, not really a lot of sectors, but strikes and stuff, but while listening to podcasts and still enjoying the game. You know what I mean? Yep. So people will come back. It's year one. It's vanilla Destiny 2. And I literally have no worries. You know what I mean?
By the way, at Guardian Con, by the way, I think, and we've been having discussions. I think our booth is actually going to be the main stage for Destiny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're looking for a main stage for Destiny 2, it's going to be our booth.
Yeah.
Well, let's finish on this, because some people listening to this, I mean, and I meant to bring this up in the beginning of the show. This Friday, February 23rd, marks the 5-year anniversary of the launch of the first episode of Guardian Radio. So this podcast, between now and our next episode, will turn 5 years old. That's and nuts. You know, heck, we've had some shows where, you know, we maybe are upset with certain things in the game, but the core of this podcast has always been fans of Destiny and fans of Bungie. Like, that's what this podcast is. Nothing is going to change on the show at all. And, you know, sure, they can put out, you know, a version of the game that maybe we don't enjoy it so much, but you know what? We give positive feedback. We continue to play and have fun with it, because it's a video game and it's fun. Right. So, you know, here at the end, I just, you know, last year we made a big deal about the 4-year anniversary. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. We did a special episode. It was myself and Derek and Chris, 2 of the original co-hosts. We kind of broke down just like where the show came from. I highly urge you to listen to it if you haven't ever heard about the history of Guardian Radio, or if you maybe came across us here with Destiny 2. I know there's a lot of new people with the PC community. Go listen to that podcast. And even hell, go back and listen to episode 1. I mean, there's still people like when we go to Guardian Con, they come up and like, dude, I just binged all 220 episodes of Guardian Radio in the last month. And I'm like, are you effing crazy? Like, what's wrong with you? But that's awesome. So big thank you, you know, to everybody out there, as always, for, you know, continuing here to support Guardian Radio. And, you know, we're going to keep trucking on. We're having a blast. We're going to be at Guardian Con. Like Caleb said, we're going to have our booth. We're going to be there because we enjoy Destiny, and I hope that people that are still going love Destiny 2 that are going to be there with us.
And we've got some epic stuff planned for the booth. Yeah, whether it be giveaways,
we got some giveaways. I'm looking at some stuff that I've got. Live
things, live shows. Like, we're going to be going bonkers at Guardian Con.
I've got some cool stuff over that I'm looking at in my shrine to Destiny and Bungie over there that might be making its way into your hands if you come by our booth at Guardian Con. But I think part of it, guys, let's just be frank. We're saying this because we
Frank
see a lot
Rizzo. Is that Frank Rizzo?
Frank Rizzo. We're saying this because a lot of the stuff that seems like it's going down at Guardian Con is that it's not going to be really Destiny 2 related. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel, and this is my personal opinion, is that Guardian Con should be a celebration. And yes, it is, of course, for charity and for St. Jude, which is great, but it should be a celebration for what we love, which is Destiny and Bungie. You know what I mean? So, okay, if Destiny's not on the main stage, you know, that's cool. We're still going to be representing what we love, which is Destiny and Bungie and stuff like that. So that's all I just wanted to just kind of get out there without getting too in depth of how we're
not going there to go to PAX. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
If I want to look at other games, I'll go to E3 or PAX, man. I'm not going to Guardian Con to look at other games. I'm going to Guardian Con to meet Destiny fans and talk to listeners and meet all you guys out there that listen to the show and support our videos and content and streams and everything, you know?
So that's all we'll be there.
So don't be worried. We will definitely be there. And of course, we'll be there, you know, having fun with all of you, just enjoying Destiny because we're all Destiny fans. So, all right, guys, let's wrap it up there. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for, you know, continuing to support the podcast here 5 years in. Next week, maybe we'll even, you know, have a few other things. You know what? Email us. feedback@theguardiansofdestiny.com. Just, you know, tell us about maybe when you started listening to the show, and maybe we can read some of those here on the air and just, you know, I don't know.
I think we got to do a call-in show eventually, I think.
Oh, we do got to get another call-in show. But you know what? The way this computer's been going, man, I got to make sure I get that thing up and running.
Once you get that new iMac, man, you'll be good, man.
Yeah, I said hopefully, well, I should have the new iMac next week. I mean, my wife, I have Thursday off this week, and if not, I'm on vacation all next week, so at least soon we're going to be getting this new computer. Definitely. But don't forget to email us feedback@theguardiansofdestiny.com. Best way to keep in touch with us is on Twitter @guardiansofd. Big thank you to everybody over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. We're doing the show live definitely next Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, you can find the YouTube version of the show over on Sean's channel at youtube.com/MesaSean. And you guys going to be doing the this week at Bungie?
The TWAB. Yeah, doing the TWAB on Thursday.
Because, dude, they've been ridiculous. It used to be like me reading 3 paragraphs. All right, guys, that's the news. But now there's
so many changes going on with the game that there's so much to digest. Yep. It actually helps me, too, because when I go to do the rundown on Sunday or Monday, I'm like, I've gone through it already in my mind, because usually it takes me a couple hours to do that rundown. Because I want to go to the news. There's stuff that happened on Twitter. What did Irk say? What did whatever, and then want to put a rundown together, and it really helps me to do it, and it's a lot of fun, and we do it live. I got a chat on Sean's YouTube channel, and it's really a lot of fun, and it's exciting because you get to live have your feelings come out about what is coming with the game that are making changes to the game we love, and it's really fun. So it's cool. Check it out.
Yep. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, let's wrap it up there. Again, thank you guys so much for this week. Thank you for continuing to support us here now 5 years in, which is crazy. And with that, we'll catch you next week.
Later.